Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Chopping up Masters Week with some pop culture. We got a challenge out of the way yesterday, today. Because it is Masters Week, it is also Game of Thrones Week. So, we need to catch up on what's going on Game of Thrones, because there's a lot of stuff, and it's been off the air for like 2 years. So, we'll try to get you caught up with everyone. Plus, we got some betting props, we got some predictions for you. Joining me to break this all down, because, of course, you know, he's going to have insane takes about what's going on. It is Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
That's not my name.
It is. Do you have insane takes?
No, I think I have very reasonable takes.
So I guess the first thing we should do, before we spell out where everyone is on the map, what's going on, because I even did a bit of research, because I'm a professional. I watched the last episode of Season 7 this morning before I came in to really jog my memory. But tell us why you think this is going to be the Night King season.
I mean, last time I looked, he now has an ice dragon and ice giants, and he is unstoppable, whereas everyone else in Westeros is ripping each other apart because they're vain and greedy and selfish and arrogant. And the Night King is simply constantly making progress towards the south, and his arsenal of weapons is significantly stronger. He just tore the wall down.
Okay. That doesn't constitute a win by tearing the wall down. He's coming. You know, this is
hard home.
You realize you understand that this isn't like a documentary, right? It's like a narrative story, a fantasy story where, you know, the good guys will end up winning.
I'm not so sure there are any good guys. And if there are good guys, I don't see why the Night King doesn't have a claim to that just as much as anybody else.
Well, that is true. We don't know what his backstory may be. Because, I mean, there's a bunch of, like, deep dive Reddit stuff going on that Bran is actually the Night King. And, hey,
we saw that one scene where he was being turned into the Night King when the Children of the Forest stabbed him with the obsidian.
Yes. So, I mean, people are and the Night King touched Bran, so they have some sort of link that there is speculation that the way to kill the Night King is to kill Bran.
That could be. I mean, that's all idle speculation. I don't think is the Night King killable? Like, he's already undead. Like, I don't know if kill is the right verb there.
It does seem like if you hit him with some Valyrian steel, you're going to be good to go.
Probably. Like, but, I mean, he has an ice dragon.
The whole thing is, like, if the entire story was based on all these characters, all the political intrigue, all the fighting in between houses and all this, and it just comes down to a battle with the Night King, it seems like the first 6 seasons were entirely irrelevant.
Or, I mean, if you're making like a political commentary about, for example, people have said this before, that the White Walkers are like global warming, and that we are all spending time idly debating politics and history and intrigue, where the actual things that matter are slowly but surely coming and are unstoppable. And it would sort of be a metaphor for, or you don't have to use the word global warming example. You can just say it's a metaphor for we focus on all the unimportant things because they're interesting and they're beautiful and they're fun, but the things that actually matter in this world are quietly behind the scenes coming like time and tide to take care of things. And so I actually think there might be a very profound metaphor in that.
I think that would just be a waste of everyone's 7 seasons, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well,
if that's what it turns out to be, people are going to be very up. If there's one thing they want to do with season 8 is stick the landing on this one, so it doesn't go like full Lost on people. That people don't remember it unfondly because it had a very poor last season, and people forget how much they enjoyed it going like for the 8 years previous. But I don't know. It just seems like if they take away everything that had happened, the importance of everything that had happened leading up to this, that it's just going to be stupid.
Would it be stupid, or would it be a reminder that the things you think are important in this world actually don't matter that much?
But people aren't watching Game of Thrones for this shit, Tim.
All the time. No, but that's not true.
It is. Do you know why people watch Game of Thrones?
Well,
do you know the main reasons people watch Game of Thrones?
There are crude answers and there are erudite answers.
There's murder, there's tits, and there's fun politics. That's about it.
Well, that is
that's why people like it so much, and the high production value, because it's very cinematic.
I think all of those are part of it. I think you would be profoundly in error to say those are the reasons. There are other reasons. I think there's moral and ethical lessons being taught in this world.
Yeah, people aren't watching Game of Thrones for that. They're not.
Well, I am.
Yeah, but we've already established you're an insane person. That's why it says it on your graphic.
I think it's an intelligent show. I think it actually has lessons to teach, which is why I continue to watch. I mean, these are all horrible people. I actually don't like any of them. I think they all, in their own way, are sinners, which is fair enough. I mean, everybody's fallen, I suppose, but it's just there's no one to root for on this show. So I'm just interested to see how things break down.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw out 2 draws for this show. If you smash the like button, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. You can do it twice with 2 different answers. One, you can say, why do you watch Game of Thrones? What are like the top 2 reasons that you tune in? Is it the ethical and moral dilemmas and the teachings that it has it? Or is it like the tits? Because that's what people really seem to enjoy. My dad was big on Game of Thrones. He's not really a fantasy guy, but he's like, there's so many tits in the show. Like, I'm all about it. So, I mean, that's what sucked him in to it in the first place. And then secondly, who do you think is going to be on top of the Iron Throne? Or will there even be an Iron Throne by the end of the season? We'll talk about some of the props and some of the odds here in a little bit. But let's catch everyone up on what everyone is up to. We'll start with your boy, the Night King. He's come through the wall. He has the Ice Dragon, and he is marching. Is he going to be able to raise people now that he's through the wall that have previously died, do you think?
I don't see why he wouldn't be able to. He seems to be just about omnipotent outside of Obsidian. And I mean, like, he has never been stopped before, and he just tore a wall down that was supposed to be unbreakable, and he has an ice dragon because Jon Snow decided to go north of the wall for no good reason. So, I don't know. I mean, good. When we get into this, and people are going to make the case as to why he's not going to win, you have to actually make the case as to why the Night King's going to lose. Because if you're looking at the chessboard, it is heavily stacked in his favor.
Yeah, Tim, it's a TV show. And they have to set up obstacles for the heroes of the story to overcome. If they just glided to the end, it really wouldn't be that much of a show, and I wouldn't.
But it wouldn't be Game of Thrones' thing to give the audience the happy ending that they want.
No, along the way, we've suffered with these characters, and they've had some pretty tragic endings, but this is still a fantasy novel and a fantasy TV show, and the novel might end completely different than the show does, but where this is...
The novel is never going to get written. Never, ever, ever, ever.
Well, I mean, that's partially your fault because you're a huge Jets fan, just like George R.R. Martin, and he's just probably too sad to finish anything.
And all those book readers who turn their nose up at me for years saying, oh, I know what's coming next and you don't because I've read the books. Well, now...
How many... honest to God, how many times did you encounter that in your day-to-day life? Zero? Zero times?
No, but like on message boards and all kinds of places, you'd come across this stuff. And now it's nice that I have the whip hand. It's like, no, actually,
how do you have the whip hand? You don't know what's going to happen.
Because what happens with this story is whatever the television show says. The TV show is going to be the only thing that's ever canon. It is the only way that story is ever going to end. And those people who spend all those years reading books because they knew more about this than I did actually don't know more. They will know just as much. And, that makes me, if that sounds petty, I guess I'm guilty of being petty.
You are petty. We know that.
Whatever.
Incredibly petty statement there, because no one in actual real life has actually done this to you. You've actively went out of your way to find these people and try to antagonize them, is what you're saying.
Oh, you used to see it on Twitter all the time back in the day. Back when Twitter was not a cesspool. Like, people would like talk about things like Game of Thrones and have fun.
When has Twitter not been a cesspool?
Well, between like I joined in 2010, for like the first 4 years of it, I'd say it was relatively fun and not so dark and negative. Now it's just awful and should not exist on the internet.
So you're saying get rid of Twitter because people are mean to you on Twitter?
No. I'm saying I don't think Twitter will exist in like 3 years. I think they're going to shut it down.
Would you like to bet on that?
No, I mean, you just hear Jack, the way Jack talks about it. You really think that it's just not. It doesn't have a good case to exist anymore.
Okay, bet me then. Bet me. Let's bet $500 on it.
No, I don't want to bet $500.
Well, you see, Twitter won't exist in 3 years. A pretty bold statement.
I think it'll probably be gone. I mean, I don't know what it's positively. We put it this way: all of our lives would be better off if it didn't exist.
Yeah, why do you spend so much time on Twitter? This is a part of you not. This is a part of you not leaving your house.
I have a Twitter addiction, and I'm happen to be really good at it. So that's why I do it.
I mean, I don't know if you're really good at it. You're very fascinating with your horrible ideas and horrible takes on everything. But it is on your phone. You can just delete the app, and then you'll be free of all this.
No, then I'll download it again because I'll have some sort of witty repartee that I want to put out there.
So you need the attention, is what you're saying.
Well, Twitter is only about attention. It's
mean,
only ever been about attention.
in a way, yes, but now that it's been monetized, it's absolutely fantastic.
Let's postpone this. The people here came to hear about Game of Thrones, not my hilarious Twitter account.
Well, I mean, well, you're continuing to talk about it. You're the one who's bringing the stuff up.
That's why I said let's move on, because I brought it up for no reason.
Okay. So Night King, he's marching on Winterfell. At Winterfell right now, you got Bran, Arya, Sansa, and Sam. They're all there. And at the very end of season 7, we find out because Sam shows up, tells Bran warps back to the wedding between his aunt and Rhaegar Targaryen, thus confirming that Dany is Jon's aunt, and then they're fucking on the boat on their way up to Winterfell, while Tyrion just like creepily watches from outside of the room, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, but Tyrion's a bad character. I do think he will die in the first episode of this season, and I hope that he does.
I don't think they're going to kill off Tyrion in episode 1. I just don't.
Maybe they won't. I think they will kill off a big character in the first episode. I think that will be like the big move.
Are they really setting it up for like a big move? Like it's 6 hour-and-a-half long episodes.
There are too many plot lines going on here. They have to extinguish at least one of them, and probably pretty quickly.
Well, I would think so. I guess so. Cersei is in King's Landing. We'll catch up with her. Jaime is on his way to the north by himself. So Cersei is with, I guess, Bronn is now commanding the Lannister army. Euron is over getting some sort of army in Essos to bring over to help out the Golden Compass to help out Cersei. And Yara is captured by Euron, so is Ilaria Sand. Theon's off to go get her. And the Dothraki and Grey Worm and the Unsullied are marching up to Winterfell to meet up with Dany and Jon as they land their boat.
And the Onion is at Winterfell too, right?
He's with Jon.
Yeah, right.
They're not at Winterfell yet.
No, they were at that council, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because we need to have some sort of reunion between Jon and Arya and Sam and all those people at some point when they return, and we need to see like the dragons come into Winterfell and everything like that.
2 of them, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, well, there could be more though.
Could there be?
Yeah,
really?
Apparently that's one of the internet theories out there, that there's dragons under Winterfell.
Oh yes. Okay, with all the sure.
So I mean, if they're just down there, or maybe the Night King can go get them. But anyway, I guess Tormund and Beric are at the wall too. I don't know if they're dead or not. I assume they're not, but
Beric Dondarrion's been dead 1,000 times. So
yeah, but he has the guy who raises him, Myr, whatever his name was, he's gone. He's dead.
Myr,
yeah, so he's dead. So he can't be risen anymore unless Melisandre's doing it. And I guess she's with Varys. I don't even know where she is. She was somewhere.
I can't remember where she went. I'd be lying if I said I remember.
She was on like Dragonstone with everyone, and that's kind of like the last we saw of her. It was hard. They really moved at such a rapid pace in season 7 that you didn't really get to catch up with a lot of people.
No, and I mean that's part of the reason why season 7 was the worst season. Like the pacing is god awful.
Well, when they gave them only 2 more seasons to go, you kind of have to wrap everything up a bit quicker.
Yeah, I don't know if that was whether they were given that or whether they said we're going to end it like that. I think HBO would have been delighted to get as many seasons out of this thing as possible.
They would have, but at some point the actors want to do something else, and it's hard to recast. It's hard to recast after 7 seasons.
I get that.
So that's where we're at. So I got some odds here. The odds to rule Westeros by the end of the season. So we have Bran Stark is the favorite at -125. Sansa 4-1. Jon Snow 5-1. Night King 10-1. Gendry 10-1. Tyrion 10-1. Daenerys 11-1. Arya 16-1. Cersei 25-1. And Samwell Tarly is 33-1 to sit on the Iron Throne at the end of season 8 of Game of Thrones. Do you even think there will be an Iron Throne at the end of season 8?
Probably not.
What do you think happens? Where are we going with this? Because
we do have. We have the.
When do we get the Battle of Winterfell? I guess is the question.
We have the flashback in season 3, season 4 when Dany was in. Was it Karth?
That was season 2.
There was, never will be. When she saw the flashback of the throne room completely engulfed in snow and ice, and she walks into the bereft, burned down Red Keep. So, if there is an Iron Throne, it will be the Night Kings. But I don't think there will be. I don't think Westeros as a thing will exist.
Well, why? If there's going to be a lot of snow and it was torched by fire on the Iron Throne at the end, why wouldn't that lead to Jon Snow, who is ice and fire?
Because Jon Snow is clearly not going to get to rule. I don't think he wants to rule. He has no claim to rule. I don't know why
he does. He actually has the claim to rule.
Well, once he swore his oath as a member of the Watch, you forego all oaths, names, and titles. Remember, the old Targaryen guy was there. Said I couldn't become king because I swore my oath, saying I forswear all oaths and titles. The idea that him like resurrecting from the dead would release him from that oath, I don't think that passes muster. I don't think Jon Snow has a claim because he swore them all.
You'd be surprised how much you can get away with on this show. The people aren't going to revolt.
I'm just saying I don't think he has a legitimate claim to it. Put it that way.
Okay.
But then Cersei doesn't have a claim either, right? But she's still queen, so.
And I mean, if Dany and Jon end up having a child, I guess that would be the one who would had the claim to the throne too, wouldn't it?
I suspect that would be true. Are they really going to give us a child between an aunt and a nephew, though?
I mean, sure. I mean, they gave us 3 between a brother and a sister.
Yeah, but that was not their choice. That was baked into the story that Martin wrote.
So if that's the case, if they're unwilling to give us a child between an aunt and a nephew, and that would end up being the king or the queen by the end of it, you really think they're going to leave us with a downer ending?
I think what I do think will happen is that all these 7 kingdoms will be like independent kingdoms. There'll be no Iron Throne.
Okay. So you don't think, so let's say that there is an Iron Throne at the end. You think that the Night's King is the one who sits on it?
Him or, see, it's hard to say. All the top people, I say no. I guess maybe Daenerys would be, other than the Night King, Daenerys would be the best answer. There's no way it's going to be Bran. There's certainly no way it'll be Sansa or Tyrion. Cersei is going to die. So I don't know who else it could be.
Yeah, Cersei's odds to die, minus 5,000. That would be the biggest downer ending of them all if Cersei somehow outlasted. Well, they don't clearly know something. The story is setting up for her to die.
Yeah, but the story's set up all kinds of different ways, and then crazy stuff happens. So, I mean,
but now it's actually ending.
I know, but that doesn't mean she's going to die. But she probably will.
I mean, if she dies, she's the biggest. Her and Euron are the 2 biggest favorites by far on the board to die. Minus 5,000, minus 3,300. Who do you think kills Cersei? Because that's out here too. We have Jaime at minus 110, Arya at plus 150, Tyrion at 8-1, Daenerys 16-1, the Night King at 20-1. Who do you think does the job? It's probably Jaime.
I would pick Sansa.
Really?
Sansa has the largest grudge to bear against her, probably other than maybe Jaime. Sansa hates her with a furious passion, much like Arya does. But I mean, Arya didn't spend much time with her. Sansa did and learned her ways. In the same way that Sansa learned a lot from Littlefinger and then slew him. So I think she is in many ways the most redemptive person in this show is Sansa. And so if it's going to be anybody, I think it'll be her.
Do you think that she ends up making it through? Because she's very high on the she's the 3rd favorite in the who will die first category. She's plus 350. She's 2nd in odds to rule by the end of it. She's also very high up in the very quickly to die board as well.
No, I see her finishing this off as Queen of the North.
Queen of Wardeness of the North?
Well, if I don't think there's going to be a Westerosi world anymore, each kingdom will have its own kingdoms again. I think she'll be in charge of the North, whatever that is.
You don't think that Tormund's going to end up ruling everyone?
No, I don't.
Is he alive?
Or that girl from Bear Island. I certainly don't think she'll be in charge.
You don't like Lyanna Mormont? People love Lyanna Mormont.
Nah, she's okay. I don't think she should be ruling when there's a Stark alive.
Well, maybe there won't be any Starks alive. Maybe that's the whole thing.
If there are no Starks alive, then the Night King will have won.
But he too is probably a Stark, isn't he?
Who knows? I don't know.
I'm asking you for predictions, and I don't think that's in the book. I feel like if that was in the book, we would have heard about it by now. And you don't want anything to do with the book anyway. You've already bitched about them and how they bullied you.
They did bully me online. Imagine
being you and being bullied by people who read Game of Thrones books.
Well, there's nothing more annoying we're going to read than watching a show and really, really liking the show and being told as you're watching it, oh, if you only saw the books and knew how good this was, or, oh, this is not like what's in the books. The true story is this. As if any of these are true stories, it's all fiction. But
the way that you've laid out your case for a lot of this stuff is that you do think it's real.
No, none of this is real.
I mean, it sounds like you think this took place like 1,000 years ago or something.
No, listen, it could all end up like, was it one of the episodes where Tyrion says that that one of the mystery stories of the world is that we all live in the eye of a blue-eyed giant? It could end like that. Who the heck knows that it's all a dream? That's like a classic television trope. I don't know how it's going to end.
It just, I mean, unless the Night King turns out to have some sort of legitimate case where he's like actually a good guy, I just don't see
He's a
it.
good guy. He has one case, justice. He's the only man who isn't a sinner. He's the only one who doesn't have vicious, self-interested motives. He wants justice in a world that deserves it. He's like Bane. He was Gotham City's reckoning.
Bane wasn't a good guy. You realize that, right?
Yeah, but Bane, when he was saying he was Gotham's reckoning and he was there to end the borrowed time they've been living on, all those people in Westeros are just, I don't know how you can cheer for them. They all break their oaths. They all lie. They all backstab. They all cheat. Night King doesn't do that. He does what he says.
He doesn't say anything. He hasn't spoken a word.
Exactly.
You have no idea what he's up to.
He's pretty clear he has a purpose.
Sure, but you have no idea what it is.
The purpose is the destruction of all that is around him.
So of all the sinners you're talking about, you're siding as the good guy, as the guy who's trying to kill everybody.
He's the reckoning for that world. He is like, this is an antediluvian world, and he is bringing the flood. Except there will be no ark, and maybe that's the justice that's required.
I mean, I think you need to put down your Old Testament, pal, and just like live in the real world here.
I think that this is a world so corrupted that there is no saving it.
I feel like that's not going to be the point of the show. It's a TV show. And not only is it a TV show, it's a very popular TV show. It's a very popcorny TV show. That's not how the stuff ends. And
Okay,
in fan, I'm not asking you what you want. I'm asking you what you actually think is going to happen. It's not Tim writes the show, which would have been canceled after one episode apparently, because it just sounds horrible.
They will melt down the Iron Throne. There will be separate independent kingdoms or independent cities, and people will live in peace. There. Are you happy now?
That's what you think it is. You think that people...
I actually do think there will be no Iron Throne. I think that is how it'll be, yeah.
I can see that happening, but I mean, that's also a lot talks to like what Dany and Jon have been up to the entire time, and Tyrion's talked about it as well. You know, breaking the wheel, starting something new. Maybe that means getting rid of the Iron Throne.
Maybe it does, although Dany seems consumed with that Iron Throne for herself and her covetousness.
Maybe
She's
so.
a very vain person.
So let's see what do you think happens to the relationship between Jon and Dany here? They're aligned. They got the North, they got the dragons, they got the Targaryens, but now it's going to be revealed that they're related to one another. So can they continue being lovers, or will this throw a wrench into it once it kind of turns out that Jon actually is the heir to the Iron Throne?
Well, it will definitely throw a wrench into it because she has been living her life ever since the death of her brother with a solemn conviction that she is the legitimate heir to the throne. And so any threat or danger within her own allyship of her claim to the throne cannot be tolerated. I couldn't imagine how she could just shrug her shoulders and say, well, I guess this guy who swore an oath not to have any lands could now have all my lands and titles. And all the fighting I did for this throne, I have to set aside. I just can't imagine that could happen.
Do you think she makes it out? Do you think she ends up going down? Because I think she does. I think Jon is going to be the one who's living at the end of this. Because like you already mentioned, everything, he doesn't want any of this stuff. Yet everything always just ends up in his lap. He's the reluctant hero, and that's usually who ends up prevailing in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, they seem compelled in trying to make this guy a hero.
I mean, he's the hero of the story.
I don't understand why.
I mean, have you watched it? Because if you watch it, it's pretty clear he's the hero of the story.
Oathbreaker, betrayer of his men, a zombie amongst us. Can't keep faith. I don't know. There's a lot about him that
did someone who looks like Kit Harington bully you because he had read the books and that's why you don't like Jon Snow?
No, I just think Jon Snow is not a role model. I think people are holding him up as his bastion of virtue when he is consumed with sin.
I mean, he is the only character on the show who's inclusive. He thinks outside the box. He does what he thinks is right at the time. He doesn't just go along with the orders.
Sam is far more noble and brave.
But Sam only got his courage because Jon encouraged him.
Okay, well, people can be encouraged by others, but Sam is actually, for the most part, Sam is a hero. I mean, he's probably broken his oath as well, and we can talk about that if you want. But Sam is still is to me the closest thing to a just hero in the story.
Also, is there a Night's Watch if there is no wall?
I have no idea. What are they watching? They're no longer the
exactly.
watchers
So
of
if that's
wall.
the case, if there is no Night's Watch, what does any of this matter?
But that wall is huge, right? I mean, who knows how much of that wall got knocked down? I mean, there were like 50 castles or something stupid along that wall.
I believe there were 17 castles, 3 of them manned, and this is the one at like the very tip of the ocean, like where they sailed off to Hardhome from.
Yeah, isn't that where they sent the wildlings to go look after it?
Yeah, that's why Tormund was there.
Yeah.
Also,
So, I mean,
real bad job by Tormund watching all these guys come and doing nothing.
what was he gonna do?
I don't know, fire some dragon glass at him?
Would dragon glass hurt an ice dragon?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, you don't know what hurts it. I mean, that has killed the whites, so who knows?
It has killed the one.
You know what didn't help? Just staring. The death glare didn't work.
No, that's true. But I mean, in a moment of panic, I mean, sometimes you don't know how you're going to react.
I guess so.
The ice dragon is so cool. Like that thing about the White Walkers is that they're so cool and neat, and like it's easy to root for them.
You really do think that, don't you?
Oh, I'm convinced. I've thought of it now for like 3 or 4 seasons. Like I'm totally in with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you've just cursed them. There's no way they can win because we're eventually going to get to the Battle of Winterfell. What that
would be like? Yeah, the last episode.
That's not going to be the last episode. That's going to happen before that. We've never had an action episode really to end the season. The only one that really kind of worked that way was the season 6 finale when the Sept of Baelor got exploded and everyone died. But even that wasn't really like an action infused episode. It's usually
it was the first part of the episode, and then they didn't go back to it.
What's that?
Yeah, and it was the first part of that episode, and they didn't go back to it.
And they went back to it at the very end when Jaime came back and saw like the city in ruins. It was still smoking, and Cersei was being crowned queen. But I would think it's like, I think they're going to wrap up this Night King stuff fairly, I want to say quickly, but I can see it happening like 3 or 4. Because the story is, I do think it's going to end up coming down to Jon, Dany, Cersei, Jaime, all the characters that we've known the entire time, because we want to see the resolution. If they all just die at the Battle of Winterfell, that's kind of strange. And it's easier to tie up a lot of these stories if you do the battle a bit earlier, kill off a bunch of people, then their stories are finished. Then you can... Then you have the rest of the story for the 4, 5, 6, 7 people that we actually do care about.
I think it'll go the other way. I think they will resolve the battle between North and South first. And then whoever is the victor, most likely Jon and Dany and their group, will be the ones. I mean, the fact that the series begins with the White Walkers, the fact that almost every season begins with a scene of the White Walkers indicates to me they're going to be involved until the very bitter end. So I actually think that the political turmoil and the geographic turmoil in Westeros will get itself resolved before the final episode, which will be the final battle between the White Walkers and whomever is living amongst the men to decide things.
So you think that Cersei comes up with like a sneak attack on the people at Winterfell?
Yes, of course. She's consumed by nothing else. She wants these. She doesn't care if she dies. She wants to destroy these people just as much as anything else. Like I don't think it matters to her whether she's governed or if she's defeated by Westerosi or by the White Walker. She doesn't care. She's backed up against a wall and will stop at nothing. I don't think she's thinking rationally.
I mean, I guess, yeah, if she wasn't thinking rationally, then yeah, going to attack them, the sneak attack would definitely work. But then you have to deal with the Night King and his entire army coming at you.
Well,
but wouldn't it make more sense from her perspective, I guess, that let them two fight it out and then fight whoever comes down?
Or the people just rebel against her and kill her. And then she's gone. That could very well happen. And then all the people who are left do want to fight against the White Walkers. Like, I mean, listen, we're only a season away from Cersei blowing up and killing thousands of people in her capital city. And to 3 seasons removed from her walking through the streets and being yelled shame at. I don't think it would be surprising at all if there's like a coup d'etat that takes her out.
I would be surprised by that. It seems like one of our characters that we like is going to have to do the deed and kill her.
Whether it could be someone like Qyburn, right? Who's just in a panic mode to save himself.
You know what? You are very Qyburn-esque. You remind me of Qyburn.
No, I'm not like Qyburn.
You're a lot like Qyburn.
Like Littlefinger.
I mean, you don't have the grasp of science that he does, but just in general, like your presence is a lot like Qyburn's.
I like to think like I'm a mix of like Littlefinger and Sam.
You're off in another world with what you think about yourself, don't you?
I'm not like Homer looking in the mirror and flexing.
You kind of are. Like, that's just insane talk. Yeah, you're kind of like Qyburn.
No, I don't think so.
You're
Although Qyburn's a pretty cool guy. I gotta say.
He's around. He's weirding people out. He has outrageous takes on everything. He's doing crazy stuff. That sounds like you.
Like Dr. Frankenstein, he can essentially raise the dead.
Yeah, I mean, he might actually be a key to all of this because he took that White Walker, that white hand. So maybe he can concoct some sort of way to get them, Or maybe he can find some sort of way to turn them onto his side. Who knows? He seems to be good at this like dark arts kind of stuff. And you too practice in the dark arts
I do not
with your
practice the
cursing
dark
and such.
There are no curses. People even now accept that there are no curses. There's only like a very small percentage of people who think that now.
You should put that poll out.
Now,
What would you take as a win in that poll?
I can't imagine me not winning that poll in any which way.
Well, you just claimed that you had 16% right in a poll, and you claimed that that was a win. So I don't think what you consider a win is actually a win.
No, people don't think there are actual curses.
People think that you have the Ender curse. People are convinced, and they should be, because you do. You have the ability to curse things. Just look, as evidence, look at the finals of the NCAA bracket. As we did the bracket show, and you made your picks, at the very end, we said, who are the two most reverse curse teams, the two teams that you hated the most and said had no chance? Texas Tech, Virginia. Now they're playing in the finals.
I'm aware of what I said.
And it's really helping my bracket, so I really enjoyed that a lot, because I was picked against you and did really well.
Yeah, and then signed it like you were Barack Obama.
I did sign it.
Yeah, that annoyed me.
So people knew that it was mine. Why? Because, I mean, in your world, is Barack Obama a big villain too?
Let's not talk about politics.
So yeah. This is where you're coming from with all this. Odds to die overall. So let's just play the game here. So Cersei is the big favorite. She's minus 5,000. Yes or no, Cersei dying?
I would say yes, but I think minus 5,000 is silly.
You're now complaining about the odds that they have on Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I think those odds are outrageous. Okay, well, you asked me what I thought, and then I told you.
Do you have anything reasonable to say?
I don't think that it's a slam dunk that she is going to die. I don't think it's a slam dunk that we know anybody for sure is going to die on this show.
Okay, you're on. Yes or no? I say yes.
Yes, I think he's likelier to die than Cersei, to be honest with you.
Varys, minus 1,200. Yes or no? I don't think he's going to die.
I certainly hope so. I can't stand that character.
You don't like Varys?
No, I find him tiring.
Why is that?
Oh, he thinks he's so good and he's so clever. Yeah, well.
Okay.
It's a real shame he was there when the White Walkers came.
Beric is minus 800. I feel like he's definitely going to die.
I mean, he's died a million times. There would be no thing for him to die.
Well, it would be, because now he knows he's not being brought back. We just discussed this.
Lucky him.
Jorah, minus 700. This seems like a lock.
Yeah, it does seem like he's going to die in some heroic fashion, doesn't it? They're not bringing him back. They're not bringing him back to the show for no reason.
What do you mean?
Like he's not coming back just to be like accidentally hit by frozen dragon fire. Like he's going to do something dramatic and sacrifice himself for Cersei in some dramatic way.
For Dany.
Or yeah, for Dany, sorry.
Do you think that anything plays into it where, I mean, do we even know if he was cured from that grayscale, or do you just get the grayscale that he had cut off? Like, does he have
I
some
was under the impression that he was cured. I thought Sam actually cured him.
I don't know. I don't think that we know that for sure. I can see the grayscale playing something moving forward. Like he might have some sort of like immunity to White Walkers or something like that.
That may be it, or it just may be that whole grayscale was a pointless diversion in the series and could have been cut out.
Well, it got him to the Citadel to meet up with Sam because, characters need something to do on TV.
Yeah, I mean, you could have come up with more inventive ways. But anyway, let's not. The pacing sometimes in the show doesn't make a lot of sense.
And we got that awesome scene with him cutting off the flesh. That was a great scene.
Oh, that was awful. Oh,
that was fantastic.
No, I'm still cringing thinking about it.
So you're just soft. That's what this is all about, isn't it?
No, I didn't particularly care for that.
What about the shit sequence when Sam was cleaning out all the?
Oh, that was also stomach turning. That
was awesome.
I don't go in for those sorts of things. I'm a little bit too reserved for these types of things.
This is probably why the people who read fantasy books bully you.
No, that's not
You're
true.
too soft. You're like melted ice cream.
No, I have read fantasy books.
And how many of them turn out with the bad guy winning?
Not too many.
Mm-hmm. And very clearly that a lot of this story is based off Lord of the Rings. So basically, however Lord of the Rings ends, you can kind of glean a bit from that, I would think, at least.
Yeah, I mean, Saruman got a bad rap.
Did he?
I think so.
Jaime, minus 450. Does Jaime survive this? Because if he's going to have to kill Cersei, do you think he dies at the same time? He kills himself after he does it because he can't handle what he's done? I don't know.
Maybe. Suicide actually makes a good deal of sense, but no, I do think he would die.
Okay. Do you think he dies in battle, or do you think he survives the battle?
I don't think he dies in battle. I think he dies in some cowardly way. Suicide would make some sense.
But Jamie is like the most redemptive character that they have on this show. So him dying in a
No,
very
but
cowardly way would be
I
kind of
don't know.
shocking.
I don't know how redemptive he is. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, Jamie's a horrible person.
Well, yeah, of course he
And
is. He pushed a kid out of a window. That was the first thing that we saw of him.
Exactly.
He was
And
fucking his sister and pushed a kid out a window.
yeah, he's a terrible person. And I just think he will be stabbed in the back somehow, or he will try to be pulling up some sort of plot, or he will nobly in battle fall on his sword or something. Who knows? But I don't think he will die in battle, like from a fight. Sort of like I don't know. I just like King Saul. I think he will end up committing suicide.
Well, nobly in a battle doesn't really sound like a coward's way out, like you just mentioned.
No. So maybe he won't, but he may do something cowardly too.
All right.
I don't know. I don't see
Daenerys is minus 450 to die.
I don't see her done.
I can see her dying. I think she gets taken off the board. I could see her even having a bit of a heel turn here, like Mad Queen comes out. They got to get rid of her.
That's already been happening. The Mad Queen stuff has already been developing.
It has. That's why I'm saying that if it comes to fruition, she starts going nuts. Maybe got to take her out.
Yeah, I get that, but I think that she will be redeemed in some sense. I don't know where. Maybe she'll go back to Slaver's Bay or whatever they call it now.
She's not going back to Slaver's Bay.
She may, when she realizes there's no Westeros to govern anymore and she's done what she needed to do, she may go back there where she was respected and loved.
Well, I guess the question is, if the White Walkers win and they take over Westeros, can they get over to Essos? Like, is that a thing? Or like, should everyone just be going to Essos?
You would think so. I mean, I would hope they can get up. No, but they can't. Remember, water. They're screwed with water.
Yeah, but
they couldn't.
They could probably build a boat, couldn't they?
I don't know. They couldn't. How would they build a boat if they couldn't touch water? Like, they couldn't even get near the little butter boats that John and those guys were in a hard home, right? They were safe as soon as they got in the water. So no, I actually don't think they can get across the narrow sea.
So, but do we know that they couldn't get in the water? Did the Night King just not unleash them into the water? He just kind of let them go. Because it was never established that they couldn't go into the water. They just didn't go into the water.
I thought it was. And also, they have no quarrel with Essos. Like, they have no fight with them.
So it's just going to be White Walker land to the west?
One should hope. That's what a just world would look like. But I don't know that it will.
I can't wait. You should really write a TV show.
I could write a TV show. It would be hilarious and funny.
Really? I would like for you to write a pilot to a TV show and then release it to us. You can even use the Twitter. Maybe that's what you can win your Twitter bet by Twitter being canceled and at a commission by you releasing a script onto Twitter.
I think it'd be pretty good, actually.
I don't think it would be.
It would
based on like the story threads that you want to happen in this show. People would be super big fans of that.
There'd be lots of obscure characters who I would take time to flesh out in detail.
Mm-hmm. So you would have no main characters, is what you're saying?
Nah, who needs a main character?
Okay. Theon, minus 200. No way he makes it.
Oh, God, I hope not. Every time he's on the screen, I think, get him off the screen.
All right, what about Grey Worm?
No, I don't think he goes down.
I think he does. I think Melisandre, yeah, she even said she was going to die in Westeros. So minus 450 actually seems like a pretty good bet for her.
I agree with that.
So the Hound, minus 333. We have to get the scene where he fights his brother, so that's got to happen.
They do, but again, he's not really his brother, so whatever. Like, yeah, I guess, but his brother's dead, and now whatever the mountain is now is some sort of weird undead, like zombie Frankenstein's monster. So not really, right?
They're gonna fucking fight.
Okay, but what that is not a real battle of the brothers.
You can't have fun with this show whatsoever, can you?
Well, but like
you don't. Like, it's like you've taken all the element of fun of this show and just thrown it aside.
I have to take the world as I find it. He is a
You're watching it like it's a fucking documentary film.
I am holding it to its own. If it's going to be one of the best shows on TV, then I'm going to hold it to higher standards than I would hold it to something bad.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll talk about that. Does it need to stick the landing in order to be considered one of the best shows ever?
No, it doesn't need to, but if it does, it will unquestionably go down as one of the best shows ever.
Was it a top 10 show ever? Is it a top 5 show ever? And this is saying that it has a great last season and ends in a way that people really like. Like, people really enjoyed the way that Breaking Bad ended. Although I don't know if it was the best ending. to tell you the truth. I thought it was
No,
a bit.
listen, the
I
whole
thought
last
it was,
season of The Wire is unwatchable, and yet people still regard it as one of the best seasons.
as what show? As The Wire? It's not
Wire, the last
unwatchable.
season's
The
terrible.
last episode of The Wire is actually incredible. It's one of the best
It's really
series.
good, but the whole other season is actually quite trash. So, but that doesn't mean that the series is not considered great, right? So, just because this series has maybe not a great ending doesn't mean. Same with Seinfeld, right? You can have bad endings and still be really good. So I don't think it's make or break, but if they do nail it, well, then that's everything.
Seinfeld's a completely different story, though. That's an episodic comedy show. It's not a
Sure.
it's not a serialized epic.
No, well, not quite, but you know what I mean. That
Wait, what do
shows
you mean
can
not
end
quite?
badly.
The answer is no to that for
The point
Seinfeld.
is that shows can end badly, and that not destroy where they are in the Parthenon of great shows.
Yes, but it's a bit different when you're dealing with something that is serialized versus something that's not serialized, because if you have a bad last episode of, let's say, Seinfeld, or the bad last episode of Friends, or whatever it might be, especially like in the comedy realm, that's one episode of everything. It's not like continuous storyline where this is. Like
No, that's fair. I accept that distinction.
that'd be like if you were reading a book of like nonfiction essays, and the last essay that appeared in the book just wasn't all that good. Does that discredit everything else that was unrelated to it before? No.
No, of course not. But it's the last thing you see. It's sort of like the last taste you have in your mouth. It's not great.
I guess so, but it doesn't affect the rest of the series.
No,
Where,
The Wire is the better example.
and can this even be compared, really, to The Wire, to Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, or does it fall into that where it's fantasy? It's a bit different, like where the budget is. Does it have to be compared to a different set of like high-end shows that we like? Because the degree of difficulty, I think, is the same, but like the budgeting is higher. There's different requirements that you have to meet for something like this show. It's not quite as small. Like Breaking Bad, you could tie up a lot of loose end because there wasn't really that much going on in comparison to like they are now. Like Lost struggled with this mightily because there was just too much going on, but it was also one of these big budget shows. It was highly popular, and it's almost like it was at a different level in terms of the degree of difficulty that it had to pull off and who it had to appease, and it failed doing that. If this happens, let's say it has a Lost-esque bad season, are people going to remember Game of Thrones fondly? Because people do not remember Lost fondly, although Lost is a great show.
Yeah, people don't remember Lost fondly because they screwed with the audience for the last season and a half, and there's nothing redeemable about the end of the show. With this, I mean, the last season, people were beginning to start to turn on Game of Thrones. If you remember, like the criticism from reviewers was like, "Then it's not a great episode. Oh, it's not a great episode." So, if they have like a really, really bad last season and the season before, yes. But you asked the first question, but we have to judge it according to different standards. My answer to that is no. All TV shows in the end are television shows. They are programs.
But you're not going to judge The Simpsons the same way that you judge The Wire.
If the question is the best all-time television show, then they all count and they all get looked at the same way, and we have to review them the same way. If we're breaking the categories up, okay, what's the best drama? What is the best fantasy? Then you have separate what's best big budget. You can then differentiate from there. But the overall umbrella, the best picture award, the best television show ever, they all count. And you don't get to make differentiations between them. You can say, in its category, was it the best that there ever was? And was it better than every other show that in their categories there ever was? Otherwise, you just can't have a ranking system. So I think it's not the best show ever, but it's better than a lot of other great HBO shows. That's for sure.
Like which ones?
It's not better than Deadwood. Deadwood's the best HBO show ever.
You think Deadwood's better than The Wire?
Better than The Wire, better than The Sopranos. And I think we all know this is true, and we don't all like to say it, but we all know Deadwood is better.
How much did Deadwood benefit by only lasting 3 seasons?
Probably a good deal, but
why did it only last?
The Ben Stiller show was the greatest comedy show ever, and it made like 4 episodes. So that doesn't really.
In fairness, it made like 20 episodes. It won an Emmy that year, but everyone had to go on and do better things. That was the whole point.
Okay, I mean, listen, I like Deadwood the best of all the shows.
Deadwood's great. No one's going to argue against Deadwood as a fantastic show. To call it the best ever, it's in the conversation.
Best ever HBO show.
I mean, Larry Sanders is probably the best HBO show.
Larry Sanders is better than those shows. Curb Your Enthusiasm is better than those shows.
Well,
I think that Game of Thrones might go to the second or third. That's my opinion.
You really do think you think that Game of Thrones is better than The Wire and Sopranos?
Yes, in terms of as a television viewer, what did I enjoy more? I found a more enjoyable experience mixing, like you were saying, sort of the fun aspects of the
But
show
you have no fun with the show.
with I think deep and important philosophical and ethical debates mixed in with a lot of fun and fantasy and crazily impressive CGI. I think it's a perfect mixture of things in a way that the other shows do other things better, but they're not as fun or they're not as engaging. I mean, there are like several episodes of The Sopranos that don't go anywhere. And in the end, you didn't even need these. They were just filler episodes for all intents and purposes. And the last season of The Wire is borderline unwatchable in many ways. So Game of Thrones doesn't have those types of, I think, pretty significant issues that vitiate against it. Deadwood's probably a perfect show in a way that I don't think the Game of Thrones isn't perfect, but it's really, really good.
Well, a lot of when we think of like best shows ever, they kind of fall into that mix of if they got canceled early enough or anything like that, it actually works to their benefit. Like Arrested Development ended up coming back. It's still fine on Netflix, but it's not near the level that it once was. But when that first wrapped up, it's like Arrested Development is amazing. And this is going to go down as like one of the best 3-season runs ever for a comedy show. And then it came back and kind of tarnished the legacy. They wanted to make some more money. They wanted to make some more episodes. It was fine. But Deadwood kind of falls in that same boat, I feel. Like, if it was given more time to flesh out more stories, it just wouldn't have been as good. The Wire kind of fell that same way in season 5 as well.
I think that's fair, but you then can't hold it against 3 seasons series for saying, well, it would have had these problems had it continued. Like, you, in the end, can only judge it on what was actually on the screen.
Well, how much are you putting into the fun that you have of Game of Thrones that you're watching it in real time, or the other stuff you caught up on after the fact?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. That's a fair question, but I don't imagine that had I been watching The Sopranos or The Wire in live time, that I would have been like delighted after every episode. In a way that like I find watching Game of Thrones to be just a delightful experience. Like it's appointment television, and like I even when the episodes are dark, you're like, that was a really great episode. Like that was a fun hour of my time spent, and I don't know whether I would have felt the same way about those other shows.
Well, Breaking Bad went through that. That was like the last show before this that became sort of a cultural phenomenon that people were watching in real time, talking about in real time. It was, a water cooler show. And this is sort of like the next one. And I don't know if there is going to be another one. I'm sure there will be eventually.
Well, can I provide you a hot take? The reason that Breaking Bad has dropped in my rankings is that I have found that I think Better Call Saul is a better show. And the fact that I think that's true means that Breaking Bad has to move back somewhere, that like the spinoff is somehow better than the original. And I love Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul is just better.
Okay, so back to what I was talking about people watching it in real time, that I feel like it overrates a lot of stuff that's going on because it becomes so large of a part of the conversation that this is what people are talking about, and it becomes a big deal for like the 8 weeks that it's on, or the 6 weeks that Game of Thrones is going to be on. That I think that Mad Men's better than Breaking Bad. That Mad Men just never had that.
No, that's right. Mad Men had a couple of moments towards the end of the run, but no, they never had that moment.
But Mad Men never seeped into being a cultural phenomenon like Breaking Bad did.
No.
Like
Mad Men
it wasn't even close.
No. Mad Men was always sort of just like clinging on the edges of like popular culture.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it never even breached over into. I mean, it had a few crossover points, like John Hamm hosting SNL or something like that. But it really did seem like Mad Men was more just of something of like very, very, very high end TV watchers liked, reviewers liked. But I mean, it never did good ratings whatsoever. Breaking Bad did.
That's right. It was just this thing that was going on over there, and people were aware it was going on, but weren't really watching it.
Sure. I mean, I think it did like 2 million viewers per episode, maybe a bit less.
I believe that.
That's not great. Something like Walking Dead comes in and like saves AMC because it's doing 12 million per episode, crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, AMC has hit and miss. Like that show where they're on that ship, that's a really good show.
I mean, it's so good. It's so good that you remember the name of it. It must be great.
Wow. Like they're stuck in the ice. Damn, I can't remember the name of that show. Wilbur Lane is the captain. Damn. Okay, never mind. I guess that's not a good example. I enjoyed that show.
Is it better than AMC's Hell on Wheels?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch Low Winter Sun, no matter how many times the advertisements wanted me to do so.
Yeah, what was the other one that came on? They were in the hot run. They had Mad Men, they had Breaking Bad, and then they had Rubicon, which lasted a year. That was the most confusing show I've ever watched.
We watched the first episode. Like what? Like when we finished it was like that episode of Itchy and Scratchy from Eastern Europe, and Krusty said, "What the hell was that?"
That was Worker. That was not an episode of Itchy and Scratchy. That was an episode of Worker and Parasite. Eastern Europe's favorite cat-mouse duo.
When we watched the first episode of Rubicon, and we were like, "What was that? That was unwatchable."
I mean, I thought it was strangely watchable just because I was so fascinated because I couldn't understand what was going on. I was like, who's this guy? What's he up to?
Yeah, that was strange. But I mean, I don't know.
The show Counterpoint is a lot like that too. It's not quite as confusing, but there's a lot going on. Be like, I just don't really know what's happening at this moment, but it's fine. I like that show.
I do. I mean, listen, there are other HBO shows like Rome that I loved for a season and a half because I thought it was amazing television, but they just ended things too quickly, and therefore,
well, they didn't end things too quickly. It's the one HBO show ever they were taking a bath on in terms of finances because no one watched it, and it had the budget of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't understand because it was a great show.
No, apparently, people didn't like it. Apparently, you saying it was great was all enough to curse it.
I thoroughly liked it. What can I tell you?
Well, the guy who was Julius Caesar, he played Mance Rayder, didn't he?
Yes, he played Mance Rayder, and the guy who played Brutus played Samuel, or played the brother of the nephew of the Blackfish.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's his name on Game of Thrones?
Edmund.
Edmund. Yeah, he's Brutus from Rome.
Yeah, I did not know that. I don't think I've actually ever watched Rome. I watched that Spartacus show on Stars. That was top notch. A lot of tits in that one. Just a lot of it was more of a takeoff 300 than anything, but R-rated. It's fantastic.
I've watched 300 since it came out. I bet you it doesn't hold up.
I have not seen it since I saw it in theaters like opening night. I assume it does not hold up. Although it does have one of the best trailers ever for a movie.
Yeah, after like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is an awesome one.
Yeah, it's the greatest trailer ever.
I'd say the Clockwork Orange trailer is really good.
The new Avengers movie trailer is amazing too. I've watched that like 25 times.
You're really in the tank for Avengers.
Well, I think the movies are great. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I actually have never seen an Avengers, so I can't really comment.
Really?
On
Oh, that's too bad. I'm a maven of pop culture, and you aren't. That's one of the differences.
I mean, I just don't want to be bullied by comic book people, Tim. I mean, that's just where I'm at in
They're
life.
not bullying me. I'm just going to see it, and I like to watch. I like these superhero movies.
I know, because apparently you see Game of Thrones, you suck all the fun out of it. I guess you're injecting all the fun into these comic book movies.
I'm not sucking the fun out of Game of Thrones.
You really have sucked the fun out of Game of Thrones, especially.
I am not like that kid from The Simpsons saying, when you have the wizard key.
That actually sounds like who you are.
No,
Jon Snow can't be a hero.
Well, he can't be a hero because he isn't a hero. But he is.
He's the hero of the fucking story.
He shouldn't be.
He is, Tim. I hate to tell you.
Okay, but I think that's a real sticking point when there's inconsistencies in the universe.
Yeah, so you're the fucking guy who shows up to the panel and asks them the fucking questions. Well, the skeleton key off what are we supposed to believe? That these are magic ribs, Tim?
I miss the High Sparrow so much.
That is you.
I miss the High Sparrow.
So you like all the worst characters on the show.
I could root for the High Sparrow.
This is why no one likes you.
People like me.
No, they don't. This is why you release polls and you lose, because people don't agree with you and people think you're weird.
I don't agree.
And this is why the people who read fantasy novels bully you online.
They don't bully me, but you know what?
So now they don't bully you. So what is it?
But I come across it and read about it.
Oh, so you come across it and read it, then choose to get triggered, although it has nothing to do with you.
I feel like it's directed at me or people like me, and so this is what I get for going on the message boards. I suppose it's my own fault.
All right, any fun theories that you found on the message boards about what could happen? Because I haven't really dug in.
No, not really. I mean, it's all the normal stuff like, Jon Snow will win and be king, or Daenerys will rule, or Cersei will find a way to destroy all her enemies because she's succeeded at every turn at destroying all her enemies. So why would she stop now? Like that to me would actually be, in some ways, the most fun twist because everybody thinks she's going to die. Well, she is like the cat who has 9 lives and never seems to lose. What if she just shakes everybody loose and she's on the throne at the end? Like, who knows?
Maybe.
That'd be fun. It would certainly fit within the character arc.
There's the Tyrion is actually a Targaryen thread as well.
I just hope Tyrion is thrown overboard of that ship that he's on with Dany and John and drowns, because I cannot stand that character.
How do you hate the most popular character on the show?
He's obnoxious. He's an advertisement for, oh, it's funny to be a high functioning alcoholic, and I don't find that funny. And like, I don't know, it's just to me, he's not a character I enjoy, and I never did.
He's the one with all the wisdom on the show, Tim.
Oh, apparently.
I mean,
Apparently.
if you, I guess if you were an alcoholic, you'd be a lot like Tyrion, I suppose.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right. You're more like Qyburn.
Sam.
No, you're not like Sam whatsoever.
Well, I like to think so.
You like to think so. It's nowhere near the truth.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. No, I think I'm right.
No, you're like creepy like Qyburn. You're creepy and odd. People find you odd.
No, I am not engaged in black magic.
You are. All you do is curse things.
Not true.
That's basically what Qyburn's doing. He's embracing the dark arts. You just haven't embraced it all. You're just creeping people out anyway.
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Game of Thrones, Season 8 preview. I want to thank Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
That is not my name. Will we be doing weekly breakdown episodes?
After talking to you about this, no. I mean, I might do them, but you're not going to be a part of it.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Well, you're not fun to talk about it with, really. You're not.
Well, I take notes.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. You can read off your page the entire time.
No, but just like I like to keep sharp and remember the things I've seen.
You can't just watch something and have it in the back of your mind? You have no
I like
memory?
to be rigorous.
Yeah, again, sucking the fun right out of it.
Well,
you just can't have fun, can you?
I find I have an analytical mind and like to break things down that I see.
But you somehow end up on the wrong conclusions for everything. So maybe you should stop doing that. Your process is bad. That's what it really seems to me.
No, I don't agree.
Anyway, if you're out there and you've read the books, bully Tim on Twitter at Tim Anderson.
No, please don't. Do not do that. I don't need to hear about it. Other than the fact that you people read all these books and there will never, ever, ever, ever be another George R.R. Martin book, and you have to accept that reality.
What if there is? Are you now trying to curse it into happening?
I'm saying it will never happen. There's a 0.0% chance that book or any future books will be published. They're done now.
I mean, what sort of odds will you give me on that?
I don't know what kind of odds would even be fair to give you, because you think the same way I think. Those books are never going to get written.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that there's a 0% chance of it happening. So give me some odds.
I don't know. You said to me before, there's no way he writes these books. That kind of sounds like 0% to me.
I'll bet on it. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, I do understand that there is the possibility of it happening. I just think it's a very low percentage. Give me some odds.
I don't want to.
Don't be a fucking coward. Give me some odds.
I don't want to. The last time you bullied me to a bet on the show, I lost. No, the last time
you just said there's a 0%. It sounds like free money for you. So apparently it's not 0%, is it?
I promised myself I was not going to let you bully me into bets.
I'm not going to bully you into a bet. You're making outrageous claims, then you won't put anything behind it.
I have nothing more to say.
100 to 1.
No, I won't. I won't do it.
Give me 100. It's a 0% chance. It's free money for you. This is why this is why people bully you and think you're a coward. Because you say things and then you have nothing to back it up. You refuse to back it up.
I can back it up by saying that's what I think.
That's great. That's what you think. So put some money behind it. That's what people want to see.
Not everything should be adjudicated through the gambling of money.
Well, it sounds like you seem to have a problem with losing money, and this is a way for us to have some sort of stake on it. This way you're actually held. This way you're held accountable for being wrong, despite you claiming that there's no way you could be wrong.
I have lost enough.
You could lose more. And this way you could win some back. This way you could win some back. Give me 100 to 1. We'll bet $100. You'll owe me $10,000 if he writes a book.
This is what I mean. I'm not going to make that bet.
Why
I'm not going to do it.
Why? There's 0% chance. Yeah, I actually have to invest something to make it worth your while.
I don't care. I'm not going to make that bet. That would be crazy. I'm not doing it.
It'd be crazy, but there's 0% chance of it happening.
I'm not doing it. You're not going to bully me into it.
Then at least say that there's a higher percent chance than 0 of it happening.
There's a 0.001% chance. There. Are you happy?
Well, I mean, by that, you should give me 1,000 to 1 odds.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. No, I'm sorry. I'm not moving.
So you've set the odds. 1,000 to 1. What do you want to bet?
Nothing.
Coward.
I want to stand in that line.
This is why people bully you, especially the fantasy people.
I need to go stand in the wuss bet line.
I mean, you're not even standing in a bet line. You won't make a bet.
I am not being
Stop
do that.
being a coward, Tim.
As Iago says in Othello, I will say no more.
Can you just admit you're a coward then?
No, I will not. I wasn't going to say anything else. And I said, I'm not saying anything else.
Admit you're a coward.
No.
Admit it. Anyway, since Tim won't admit he's a coward, I mean, you can just go to him at Tim Anderson 87 on Twitter. Call him a coward. I mean, because clearly he is a coward for not making this bet and his outrageous claims. Question from the audience. Yes, sir.
Can he just claim that he's not a coward?
Can you claim that you're not a coward?
I'm not a coward.
You are a coward, though. We can edit that? Perfect. Excellent news. All right, so at Tim Anderson 87, go bully him on Twitter about Game of Thrones, especially if you've read the books, because that would just be fantastic. Tell him he knows nothing about what is going on in the show. Maybe he'll turn out to be vindicated and right. Maybe the Night King will win after all, but we'll see. Smash the like button, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and I completely forget what the giveaways were, something to the effect of who will rule Westeros by the end of it, and something else, whatever I said at the beginning. Those are 2 ways to win. Winners announced on Tuesdays. Pat Mayo Experience. Check out all the Masters content, and subscribe to the audio podcast at Pat Mayo Experience with iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean. Doesn't matter where you download podcasts, you can find the Pat Mayo Experience. Thank you for watching. Enjoy Game of Thrones. Try to have some fun with it. Don't be a coward. I hope that's what you took away from this. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo Experience! Experience!